Thank you for accessing this video. This video explains Chapter 3 of Intake from the Manual for DPHE to support POSHWA on O&M of Piped Water Supply System. This video was created based on the training material used in the training of trainers for the PICMAC DPHE Phase 2 project supported by JICA. This module covers page number from P3-1 to P3-19. Today we will learn about points on the operation and maintenance for intake in POSHWA piped water supply schemes. By the end of this module, you should feel confident giving technical supports to POSHWA engineers to diagnose intake facilities' performance, understand failures, and guide proper operation and maintenance. So let us begin by understanding what intake is, how it works, and why it is essential for safe drinking water supply. Here are the agendas for this session. Starting from providing knowledge of the basic theory, this is important because a solid understanding of the principles allows you to solve problems more easily. Then we will see what points should be confirmed for the water facility diagnosis and necessary action and countermeasures. These are the items you must check for evaluating intake facility. After that, we will also look at troubleshooting and inspection, where you can utilize it as a summary of the technical points. And finally, although not included in the manual itself, we shall also cover case studies for the purpose of more practical application of the manual. Through this session, you will be able to understand the basic knowledge of intake in piped water supply systems, recognize the risks involved in intake O&M activities, diagnose intake conditions using key parameters, identify necessary actions and practical countermeasures for supporting POSHWAs. The first agenda, basic theory. This diagram illustrates water cycle of groundwater. The upper portion represents unconfined water, while the lower portion represents confined water. Generally, unconfined water is found in shallow wells and confined water in deep wells. As shown here, water first evaporates from the ocean, forms clouds, then falls as rain onto land. This rainwater then enters the groundwater system, completing the hydrological cycle. We explain the major drilling method. The left diagram shows mechanical mud rotary drilling method. Mud rotary drilling is a drilling method by circulating drilling mud during excavation. The mud removes cuttings, stabilizes the borehole walls, and cools the drill bit. This method is effective in soft ground and deep drilling and is widely used for groundwater and industrial water development. The right picture shows the percussion excavation method. This is a drilling method in which a heavy drill bit is suspended from the end of a wire rope, and the rope is moved up and down manually to break and crush the ground layers during excavation. These are basically methods for excavating in soft soil ground. This slide shows the structure of a production tube well. A production well consists of the following components: a bale plug, a strainer, a blind pipe, a housing pipe, a gravel pack, and sealing. Typically, a submersible pump is installed inside the housing pipe to discharge groundwater to the surface. In Bangladesh, where production wells are relatively shallow and the aquifer thickness is limited, inverted production wells are commonly installed. This slide shows the structure of well pumps, piping, and submersible pumps. The left diagram is the state of the deep well with the pump inserted. A cylindrical submersible pump is typically installed inside the well, and water is conveyed to the surface through a discharge pipe. In the upper piping section of the well, an air valve is installed to prevent air accumulation, along with a pressure gauge and a flow meter for operational control, and a check valve to prevent backflow. The photo on the right shows a submersible pump that has been disassembled into its components. A submersible pump has a motor located at the lower section, which is connected to a power supply by a cable. Above the motor is the suction inlet, where water is drawn in. This suction section is covered with a screen to prevent debris from entering the pump. The water taken in through the suction inlet is lifted as a shaft connected to the motor rotates an impeller inside the upper casing. This slide shows a surface water intake facility. The diagram shown here illustrates a floating intake system. The upper figure presents a side view, while the lower figure shows a top view. This system is designed to accommodate fluctuations in river water levels. In pontoon-type facility, 1. Raw water is conveyed to the water treatment plant through a flexible pipe. 2. The pontoon is supported by floats. 3. A device is installed to support the downward suction pressure. 4. The pontoon is connected with ropes to prevent it from being flushed away. 5. Anchor weights are used to secure the structure. 6. Some pontoons are equipped with a screw propeller to enable self-movement. However, most floating intakes in Bangladesh do not have propellers. 7. An intake pump, surface or submersible type, is installed, with the suction inlet located just below it. 8. A deck plate is installed above these components. Floating intake pumps come in two types, surface type and submersible motor type. The top photo shows the surface type, while the bottom photo shows the submersible motor type. Fixed type also comes in various forms. Figure shows the tower type. This is the most common type of surface water intake facility, but it is not widely used in Bangladesh. There are two types of water intake: installing a pipe inside the tower, pipeline A, and inserting a pipe from the bottom of the tower, pipeline B. Other intake methods will be explained in following slides. Installing the pump suction directly near the riverbed is a relatively economical design. However, it should be noted that the maximum suction lift of the pump is approximately 3.5 to 4.0 meters. In Bangladesh, where seasonal water level fluctuations are significant, during low water levels, the pump is moved closer to the river to ensure that the suction lift does not exceed its allowable limit. On the other hand, the pump is installed farther from the river during high water levels. Here, in this left case, intake pump is installed in chamber. It is very similar to tower type method. Unlike river bottom intake, suction lift remains constant and it is not need to be considered. However, it is necessary to dig this deeper and construct chamber in some locations. The method shown on right figure, sump intake, the raw water is first stored in a sump and then pumped up by the pump installed above. It requires consideration of the suction lift beyond which water cannot be drawn. Rigid frame type has fixed pier off framework, which is a similar but simpler structure to tower type. Now, let's step into the confirmation points. The first confirmation point is deterioration and lifespan. Screen clogging reduces pumping capacity and lowers the pumping water level, increasing the risk of pump failure. The first necessary data is pumping rate. In case that screen clogs, it reduces the pumping rate and may cause difficulties to meet water demand. Second, drawdown is obtained by calculating pumping water level minus static water level. If the well screen clogs, the water level drop will be abnormally greater than usual, and the pumping rate will decrease due to increased necessary pump head. If the drawdown is more than twice the level at the time of construction, clogging may have occurred, and countermeasures are required. Moreover, the clearance between pumping water level and top of the pump is to be calculated, and it should be more than 1 meter, avoiding dry running. At the beginning of construction, the pump submergence from pumping water level should be kept as margin, but as time goes by, the drop in water level increases, and if it becomes less than 1 meter, countermeasures are required for pump damage. In this case, additional column pipe should be added with the pump until regeneration. To check the screening clogging, a well camera is effective method to see screen condition directly. The left figure shows clogged condition in which pumping rates can deteriorate. There are several action and countermeasure towards screen clogging. High-pressure water cleaning method is stated on the left side. The equipment is combined submersible pump and jetting tank with nozzle as shown in a picture. It can be inserted into the well and jet water to the screen to remove clogs. On the right side, this is surging method. The swab cup is attached to a wire rope, lowered into the well, and moved up and down along the screen to clear blockages. On the left side in this slide, this is brush cleaning method. This structure is almost the same as surging method. It has brushes instead of swab cup connected to a wire rope. It is inserted into well and brush part moves up and down to remove deposits. Cleaning by pneumatic air method is stated on the right side. The pneumatic air method is a well rehabilitation technique that uses compressed air injected into the well to create turbulence and pressure fluctuations around the screen. These forces loosen and remove clogging materials such as mineral deposits, biofilm, and fine sediments, which are then discharged from the well. The most commonly used regeneration method by DPHE is a pressurizing and depressurizing process using bleaching powder and the dispersing agent commercially known as Calgon, sodium hexametaphosphate. The DPHE Groundwater Division has practiced this method since the introduction of regeneration activities. It is highly effective in removing iron bacteria clogging from well screens and gravel packs. The method and its setup are described on the following page. The next confirmation point is sand accumulation. After well construction, sand accumulation occurs at the bottom of the well over time. As shown in a picture, pump can get close to sand accumulation when it grows from the bottom. It causes pump failure by pumping sand up from pump suction. When the screen is damaged, sand can pass through screen easily. Also, overpumping increases the flow velocity, making it easier to draw in sand. These factors can cause rapid sand accumulation inside the well. So, what is necessary for confirming sand accumulation? The depth of bottom, screen position, and sand content of pumped water are needed. The depth of pump means the top of sand accumulation. It can be measured by rope. The screen position can be obtained by as-built drawings. If the depth of the bottom is already reached up to the screen position, the accumulated sand shall be removed. In other case, if pumped water contains sand visibly or solid suspend value exceeds 50 mg per liter, sand may accumulated at the bottom. Here, we introduce methods for removing sand accumulated at the bottom of a well. The most typical method, as shown in the figure on the right, is to insert a baler into the sand deposit and pull it up. However, this method may not be applicable to small diameter casings. The figure on the left shows an airlift method, which is also used to remove clogging from well screens. In this method, a pumping pipe is inserted into the sand accumulated section, and compressed air is injected to lift and remove the sand. The next confirmation point is difficulty of intake during the dry season. River width can vary significantly between the rainy and dry seasons. In addition, regardless of season, river morphology may change dramatically from the time of construction due to the impacts of climate change. If the river course shifts significantly over time after construction, sufficient water depth and flow may no longer be secured at the original intake point, making continued operation difficult or impossible. In such cases, relocation of the intake structure itself or repositioning of the intake point becomes necessary. For diagnosis, intake type and changes in flow condition over time should be confirmed. When intake is fixed type, water intake will be ensured regardless of the season. If the river morphology changes significantly depending on the season or over time, the facility will be relocated to a stable river position, considering medium to long-term channel changes, riverbank erosion, and sedimentation trends. For intake is floating type, if there is seasonal morphology change, the pontoon can be moved to a location where adequate flow exists. However, if pontoon cannot move due to high risk of washaway due to sudden increases in river discharge, such as flash floods, storm surges, or extreme rainfall events, delivery pipes should be extended accordingly, and booster pumps may be installed if required to maintain hydraulic performance. Additionally, if river water levels significantly increase in rainy season, the intake pipes need to be lower down in the dry season and shorten in wet season to get the better efficiency of the pump. When intake pipe is extended as a countermeasure, these two should be considered. First, reassessment of pump head and flow capacity is necessary. Pipeline extension increases frictional head loss, which raises the total dynamic head requirement. As a result, effective intake flow rate decreases. After extension of delivery pipelines, it must be verified whether the pump head and discharge capacity remains sufficient to abstract the required volume of river water. To compensate for this additional head requirement, installation of booster pumps is one of options. Second, voltage drop shall be considered. Extension of electrical transmission lines leads to increased voltage drop. This may result in insufficient operating voltage at the pump motor terminals. Necessary countermeasures should therefore be implemented, such as increasing cable size, installing voltage regulation or step-up systems, or relocating power supply points to ensure stable pump operation under extended transmission conditions. The next confirmation point is pump blockage due to water hyacinth. Especially during the rainy season, water hyacinth flows. It can happen that pump makes suction it and it clogs in the pump, causing malfunction. We can easily confirm it by visual check for water hyacinth at intake facility. Confirmation point is the status of water hyacinth. In general, if intake is surrounded by water hyacinth like in the picture, it is recommended to act to prevent pump clogging. As a countermeasure, net or similar device at the pump suction side is recommended to be installed. The next confirmation point is sand deposit at fixed intake. As sand accumulates in water well, it occurs in intake tower as well. The accumulation of the sand deposition blocks the suction of the pump, then quantity of intake water is reduced. To diagnose it, depth of sand deposition or sand content of pumped water have to be confirmed. Since diameter of intake tower is relatively big, generally, deposit can be removed by manpower. The focus now moves to troubleshooting and inspection. Even with proper understanding of each intake, problems will occur in daily operation. This table shows how to use all the knowledge explained earlier when an actual problem appears in the intake. Up to this point, each unit process was explained separately together with confirmation points and control measures. First, observe the phenomenon. Then consider the possible causes. Understand the risk if the problem continues. Finally, select the correct countermeasure. For example, if you observe pumping sand in well, it could be caused by clogging screen, over-pumping or damage of screen. The cause can be single one or multiple. According to the causes, action to be taken is decided. For example, if it is caused by clogging screen, the action to be taken is to cleaning of the screen. This is how confirmation points are used in reverse for troubleshooting. This inspection sheet shows what data should be recorded routinely for the purpose of appropriate operation and maintenance. Each item listed here corresponds directly to the confirmation points explained earlier. By checking these regularly, you can detect abnormalities before they become serious enough to affect water quality, or identify the problem caused and will contribute to take quick actions for countermeasures. The columns for daily, weekly, and monthly checks guide operators on how frequently each item should be observed. This creates a structured habit of monitoring rather than depending on memory or experience. The monthly data will be the accumulation of daily summarized date, while yearly data will be created in the same was it from the monthly data. In this inspection sheet, the criteria to each item are introduced, which the details are found in the manual, at the part of the confirmation points and control measure. For your better comprehension and practical usage of the knowledge obtained from the manual, we are going to tackle with case study from now. If the well is used for a long period of time, the screen will become clogged as shown in the photo. And the original pumping capacity will no longer be obtained. In this case study, we will learn the way to diagnose well deterioration. To understand the exact situation, a well camera is used at the site so that we can check the screen clearly and timely. However, we try to diagnose based on measured data such as well water level and flow rate. As the first step, required data for diagnosis shall be collected here. 1. Well structure such as screen position, well diameter, well depth. 2. Pump specifications such as pump position and performance curve. 3. Initial and current well conditions such as static water level, pumping water level and pumping rate. Generally, seasonal fluctuations in static water level are significant. To assess well screen clogging and groundwater level decline, evaluations should be conducted in the same month in which the well was drilled and pumping was initiated. The well data and pump performance curves at the time of commissioning and 5 years later are shown here. By using this data, let's plot the operating point on performance curve and compare each performance. The pump performance curve shows a decrease from 30 cubic meter per hour to 23 cubic meter per hour, and the head increases from 60 meter to 72 meter, and the drop in dynamic water level is exactly 12 meter. Here, we realize that two operation points are on the performance curve. It means the pump is not depredated, but two different points are indicated. What does it suggest? This situation represents that the flow rate is decreased in 5 years, thus, the well deteriorated. From 2020 to 2025, the static water level has dropped by 2 meters, from 15 meters to 17 meters. It is not possible to determine due to seasonal fluctuations or excessive pumping in the surrounding area. The pumping water level is 12 meters decreased. Since the static water level has decreased at 2 meters, it can be said the actual decrease is 10 meters. The clearance between the top of the pump and the pumping water level is calculated as follows. Clearance is equal to B minus pumping water level minus C is equal to 46 minus 42 minus 1 is equal to 3 meters. Therefore, the clearance between the top of the pump and the pumping water level is 3 meters. So, there is no problem in pump operation because the clearance should be more than 1 meter apart. Next, let's calculate the specific capacity. The specific capacity can be calculated by flow rate divided by drawdown. Drawdown equals to the static water level minus pumping water level. In other words, specific capacity indicates how much water can be pumped when the water level drops by 1 meter. The larger the specific capacity, the better the well performance and the more efficiently water can be pumped. However, it decreases over time due to screen clogging. In 2020, drawdown is 30 minus 15 is equal to 15 meters. So, specific capacity is equal to 30 divided by 15 equals to cubic meters per hour per meter. At present, 2025. Drawdown is equal to 42 meters minus 17 meters is equal to 25 meters. Specific capacity is equal to 23 divided by 25 is equal to 0.92 cubic meters per hour per meter. The specific capacity has dropped by approximately half, therefore, screen clogging is expected. This is the end of the video. Thank you for watching and I hope this video will help you understand the manual better.